Welcome to The Explainer. Look, let's talk about something that causes a ton of anxiety for so many guys out there: sexual health and performance. We're going to cut through all the myths and these so-called miracle cures. Today, we're getting real, focusing on the science and the techniques that actually build confidence and a way better connection. Is this a source of stress? You bet it is. For so many men, that quiet, nagging worry of, am I enough? Man, that is a huge source of stress. And that anxiety, it can send you down this crazy rabbit hole of sketchy products and, honestly, unsafe methods, all because of this fundamental misunderstanding of what really creates a satisfying, intimate experience. Okay, let's just tackle the biggest myth head on right now. This whole idea that a partner's pleasure is all about penis size. It's just, well, it's not true. The science, the anatomy, it just doesn't back that up at all. So it's time we start focusing on what actually works. So what really matters then? Well, real, genuine satisfaction comes from a whole mix of things. We're talking about your skill, your connection with your partner, and just your overall health, right? Things like your technique, having some patience, good blood circulation. Trust me, those are infinitely more important than any one physical trait. Okay, so let's get practical. We're going to dive into a real science-based technique. And I want to be super clear. This is not about some miracle growth promise. It's about something way, way more important: improving your physical readiness and the long-term health of the tissue down there. This technique is known as Jelqing. Now, you've got to think of this as a targeted health exercise, almost like physical therapy, not some kind of magic wand. The goal here isn't what you might have heard in some weird corner of the internet. No, it's all about improving the mechanics of blood flow, which is the absolute bedrock of firmness and health. And you can see how this is broken down into these really careful, deliberate steps. I mean, the warm-up and the lubricant, those are totally non-negotiable. That's all about safety and preventing any damage. And look at the motion itself. It's described as slow, steady, and gentle. This is not a race. It really is more like a form of physical therapy than some intense workout. So here's the science behind it, and it's pretty straightforward. What you're doing is gently encouraging these tissues, the Corpora Cavernosa, they're kind of like sponges that hold blood, to expand their capacity over time. Think of it like training a muscle to be more flexible. Better capacity can lead to better firmness and just overall better circulatory health in that specific area. All right, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the physical foundation, but let's talk about performance itself. Because look, having a healthy foundation is one thing, but knowing what to do with it in the moment, that's where the real art of intimacy comes in. You know, there's this huge misconception out there, probably from movies and stuff, that the best way is just faster and harder. But honestly, the reality of pleasure is pretty much the exact opposite. It's not about being mechanical and forceful. It's about being rhythmic, deep, and connected. A great way to think about it is like music or a dance. This slow, fast, slow technique is all about creating a rhythm. You start out gentle, you let your partner's body respond, then you can build intensity, but you're always paying attention, you're always attuned to them. It's about depth and friction, not just, going as fast as you can. Okay, now for something that, well, it's a real game changer. This is a piece of knowledge that can completely reframe the entire experience for both of you, and it honestly makes that whole obsession with size seem kind of silly. We need to talk about a very specific part of the anatomy. Yep, we're talking about the G-spot. And let me be clear, this is not a myth. It's a 100% real, incredibly sensitive area packed with nerve endings. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people go their whole lives without ever really knowing it's there. So how do you find it? Think of this as your treasure map. The key things to remember are, it's on the front wall, that's toward the stomach. It's usually about 2 inches in. And here's the big clue. The texture often feels different, a little rougher or more grainy than the tissue around it. And here's a fantastic pro tip for you. It's really all about the angle. A super simple adjustment, like putting a pillow under your partner's hips, can completely change the angle and make it so much easier to consistently stimulate that powerful spot. It can make a world of difference. Of course, none of this stuff works in isolation, right? All these techniques rely on your body being ready to go. And your physical readiness, especially your circulation, is built on the foundation of your overall health. And a huge part of that is what you're putting into your body. Seriously, what you eat plays a massive role. There are certain foods that are just packed with things that naturally help your blood flow. We're talking about stuff like watermelon, dark chocolate. Yep, you heard that right. Pomegranate and walnuts. All fantastic, and hey, they're delicious too. So why do they work? Well, here's the cool science bit. These foods help your body produce something called nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is a key molecule that basically tells your blood vessels to relax and open up. And when your blood vessels are more open, you get better circulation everywhere, including exactly where you need it. All right, let's pull all of this together. We've talked about health, we've talked about technique, and we've talked about knowledge. Let's boil it all down to the single most important thing you should walk away with today. Here it is. This is the big mindset shift. It's all about stopping the worry about what you have and starting to focus on mastering what you do. Your skill, your knowledge, and just being attentive to your partner. That stuff is always going to be more powerful than any number on a tape measure. And really, this gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Real, rock-solid confidence, it doesn't come from a ruler. It comes from knowing that you have the skills, you have the knowledge to create an incredible, connected, pleasurable experience. And that right there is what's truly attractive. So are you ready to focus on what really matters? Because when you shift your focus away from all that anxiety and toward education, learning about your body, your partner's body, and the techniques that bring you closer, you can totally transform not just your performance, but the entire connection you share.